Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. I'm wearing pants. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apple, my co-host / co-founder Vincent.
Dude, now
we dive into the streaming services.
They're all wondering, did you wear pants in all the other episodes of the Back Catalogue podcast? The podcast where we.
Well, this is the podcast where we. So the way to find out is to go look at them. But Vincent, we dive into the streaming services and we tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. Now, the reason I said I'm wearing pants is because that is exactly what I'm doing. And Vincent, we are here. We are here today on a Friday afternoon. We're here on a Friday afternoon, and we are
thank
reviewing.
God it's Friday.
Oh, TGIFs, you know?
TGI
Let's go to that
Friday.
store together.
Back Catalogue Fridays.
We are doing 2011's very own X-Men First Class.
I can't believe this came out in 2011.
That's 2011's very own.
But then,
And
upon rewatching it, I could 100% believe it came out in 2011.
Which we'll get into, I'm assuming. Is that what we're going to get into?
Or this is the podcast where we...
Okay, good, because I was going to say now you're pausing. Now, if you have happened to find us on this YouTube channel, or if you're listening to us on the podcast, on the audios, please head over to the Back Catalogue podcast on YouTube and like and subscribe, because that is where we are. And you'll be able to see whether or not I am wearing pants, which I am.
And there's a link in the description of the podcast app that you're using. There's a link there that will say, you know, watch this thing on YouTube. And you can watch this thing.
If you've just happened to find this podcast, you're on YouTube, you're looking around, you're thinking, hey, what's this? Let me click on it. Is this man wearing pants? Head over to the Back Catalogue YouTube channel, because that's where the good content goes. That is where the good content goes. But let me tell you one thing today, Vince. Can I tell you one thing?
Tell me one thing.
It's going to be great content. It's going to be great content today. We are going to get into X-Men First Class, Vincent, but I want to just ask you, Vincent, are you a fan of the X-Men?
I'm an absolute fan of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of...
Now,
I'm a fan of blue people. I'm a fan of blue people who have like 2 or 3 sets of lips. And I'm a fan of kids that grow up German and rock up with a British accent. I'm a fan of that.
Okay. Which lips we talking? Like, whose lips we talking about?
The Beast.
Because like that can be
Beast.
thrown a couple of different ways.
Beast.
Like, wise man's got 2 different lips.
It just looks like the way that they've done his lips. It looks like he's got a negative upper lip, and then he's like the upper lip has gone to the bottom lip. It's just weird. When he was talking, I just couldn't get on board with it. I just could not get on board with it. And I know he's meant to be an animal, you know, a beast, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely fine, but I just couldn't get on board with it.
Like, man's has lips. Like, you don't want to start pulling things down because you might find some lips. That's all I'm saying. But Vincent, let's also just tell them the fact that not only do we like X-Men movies, but you and I went to see several of these reboots of the X-Men series together. X-Men First Class was one of the ones that we didn't watch together, but beyond this, we have watched all the ones that we have seen together, and all X-Men related properties together. So we're big fans of this X-Men universe.
I'm a fan of the original X-Men. You know, we talking Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine situation.
That's right, and Logan Lucky. Now, Vincent, today I want to talk about a couple of things before I get into the facts, before I get into all that kind of stuff, right? I want to talk about, one, what we thought of this cast of X-Men crew, because this is different from most of the cast that we have seen. Not only do I mean by the ensemble, as in, you know, which X-Men characters are in there, but also the actors that play those characters as well, because I think there's good things to talk about. I want us to talk about whether or not this has one of the weaker storylines in superhero movies in regards to the plot and the villain themselves. And then I just want to talk about the hits and the misses, Vincent. You know, is there a message here? That's what we do here. You know, is there a message? Is there a message? Yeah. I don't know why I found that funny, but can I give you some facts, Vincent? Can I give you some facts,
man? Give me some facts.
This This has got the 7.7 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 80%. Oh no, 86%. Sorry, my eyes deceive me on the Rotten Tomatoes. It had a budget of 140 to 160 million, and it made 353.6 million. Now, sorry, I'm leaning forward because I have to look at the screen and whatnot. Vincent, I just want to start off by saying, and you might have to just search this up. Actually, maybe I should search this up before I say it.
I can search it up.
Okay, no, this is directed by Matthew Vaughn, who I believe was okay, but this is written by Bryan Singer. Now, Bryan Singer, we might have talked about him on this podcast before, but Bryan Singer, he's not a good person.
I was about to say he's no good, is he?
So, look, we are fans of a lot of these movies, but I just want to say up top that Bryan Singer we are not a fan of. We are not a fan of Bryan Singer. And we are people that like basketball singing. We like all sorts of singing, but one thing we don't like is Bryan Singer. And
no
you
Bryan
can put that
singing.
on a t-shirt. No, there's no Bryan singing. Cancel Bryan Singer. I mean, he's being cancelled, but we'll put that on a t-shirt. Cancel Bryan Singer.
Yeah.
I just want to preface that up top because I don't deal with Bryan Singers in any way. But Vincent, let's get into this. I'm going to give you a synopsis, don't I? I apologize. I was just getting carried away by talking about Mr. Singer. During the Cold War, fellow mutants Charles Xavier and Eric, man, this man's got some German name.
Eric Lenscher.
Magneto, join forces with other mutants to save humanity from a nuclear attack and a possible world war. Now, that is pretty much...
That's what happens.
That is pretty much what is happening in this movie. The essential plot of the villain in this is that they want to create nuclear... The villains are some of the mutants. They want to create nuclear war so that the humans can be eradicated and the strengths of the mutants can be multiplied by the fact that they are continuing to get mutated by the radiation caused by this war.
I mean, that's unproven. Like, Mans hasn't done the scientific studies to have enough evidence to say whether or not that is actually the case.
This is correct. He's just sort of coming at it with...
Oh, I've got another
No, that's
angle.
all right. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Nice.
I'm here. I just had to check something real quick. You are correct in saying that, Vincent. Mans' plan wasn't appropriate, not only because he didn't run the simulations, but also because he's in an era in which we didn't really know what was going on with these nuclear things. That's why we're just dropping bombs on people. We didn't see the everlasting effects of nuclear warheads at this point, especially in this era.
I think his plan was just to get them to all, shoot bombs, and he would just, because his power is absorbing energy, which is kind of
Kevin
vague.
Bacon's very own.
But yeah, Kevin Bacon's very own. He absorbs energy, which is interesting because it just seems like he can stop anything. Like any form of, you punch him, you shoot him, you nuclear bomb him, he can just absorb it. Which is, whatever. We're not getting into the specifics of that. But I think his plan was just, hey, get him to all shoot the nukes and he'll absorb them all and he'll have all powerful and then he'll rule the world. I think it was just a classic, Mans wants to rule the world domination.
Really
business.
what this was an excuse to go back to the origins of Charles Xavier and Magneto. Professor X and Magneto. We want to see them. What did they look like when they were younger? We saw the Patrick Stewarts, we saw the Ian McKellens. Now we want to see the Michael Fassbenders and the what's his other man's name? I've forgotten his name.
James McAvoy's.
James McAvoy. I was going to call him.
Also, there's a funny bit of trivia here on IMDb. It says, to prepare for his roles of Charles Xavier, James McAvoy shaved his head. He soon learned that the filmmakers wanted Xavier to have a full head of hair in the prequel. And then he had to wear hair extensions, which is hilarious. That's hilarious.
And I mean, that's James McAvoy things. And you know what? I was looking at his hair at the front, especially. When you look at it in a couple scenes, it looks like he's almost got something in there because the hair strands are quite separated. they're not
Okay,
together.
probably
And
the
like when
hair
you see
extensions.
separated hair strands, you are talking like Mans has either been to Turkey and he's coming back on that plane, or he's doing hair extensions because he shaved it to try to be Professor X.
I don't get
Like
the
that's
turkey joke.
just what
but
it is.
That's all right.
Hey, for all my bold brothers out there, you know what's going on in Turkey. I know you're saving up. You're meant to be saving up for a house. Don't save up for that, brother. Keep that money with you, you know? Don't worry about it, man. Let's be bold together. Let's be humble. All right?
So confused right
No
now.
one
but-
No one watches this anyway, Vincent, so we're all good. Now, Turkey is a place in which there's a lot of hair transplants going on, but they're more affordable. So people fly over there. It's cheaper to go over to
okay.
Turkey, get your hair transplants and come back than it is to get hair transplants in America or Australia.
Yeah, and I mean that's just bold man thing. That's not something I've had to look at as of yet.
If anyone could get hair transplants from someone, it would be you, because you got hairs just out the wazoo that people could take. Now, for people like me, when your barber comes up to you and he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of the stuff going on in Turkey?" That's when you sort of have to shut up shop. You have to say, "Nah, the hair game's all but done for me."
I've had a good run, but that's it. This is the end of the line.
Apologies for my cough.
That's hilarious.
Vincent, I want to ask you, so really what this is it is a, how did the X-Men come together? It's a fun adventure into just seeing the X-Men as well, some of them are the X-Men, some of them later become the Brotherhood, but seeing them as their younger selves and how they evolve from being the characters they were at the start of the movie towards more the characters that we see in the Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart joints.
Yeah.
How did you find James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender to be in these particular roles?
I think they were really good. I remember originally really liking this movie when it first came out in theaters, and I remember enjoying it and thinking it was so much better than the original X-Men trilogy, which I still enjoyed. You know, you give me X-Men Last Stand when Logan's just like walking up that hill of stuff and Jean Grey's just tearing to shreds and Mans is just regenerating. Like, that's iconic.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, I watched that when you messaged me and you were like, "Hey, can we watch, X-Men First Class?" And I was like, "Yeah, nah, I'm not feeling 100%, I won't watch it." I ended up watching X-Men Last Stand that night instead.
Well, maybe that's our next week. Then we're going to watch that next week and compare the two.
And I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed X-Men Last Stand. It was a fun revisit. Sorry, go on with what you think of these individual characters, because you said that you remember liking this movie.
Yeah, and I do like Xavier and Eric. I think James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender did a really good job in their respective roles. I wish the film crew would have told James McAvoy that he didn't need to shave his head a bit earlier, so then we didn't have to get the hair extensions. I didn't notice them, but that's just hilarious. Like, that's top tier hilarious. I think the rest of the characters were a bit nothing for me. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I liked Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw. And who else did I like?
Did you just like him because he had them burns going? He had them big sideburns going.
He absolutely had them burns, but I thought it was pretty. He was a pretty cool villain. He was like a, he'll kill you, but he'll have a smile while he's doing it.
Yeah, and he's good looking. He's Kevin Bacon. Like, what can't you like about Kevin Bacon? Even if he's a Nazi and Nazi sympathizer in this movie.
He's just a sympathizer to anyone who wants to destroy the world, like ASAP Rocky. And true. The other character that I liked was
R.I.P. Yams.
was Oliver Platt as Man in Black Suit.
Dude, Oliver Platt as Man in Black Suit was wild.
You know what? The only reason I find that funny is because, when Moira McTaggart is in the CIA base or whatever with her supervisor, the two dudes, and they were like, "Nah, we don't want them. And then they say, "Oh, but where are we going to put them?" And the dude in the back's like, "I have a facility."
Yeah.
and he's in there, and you think he's someone substantial. Because he's in the movie for a bit, and he's like, yeah, no, we can get the team together. Like, oh, I didn't know you were a mutant, and whatever. Like, he's in a lot of things, and then Mans just gets dropped from, the stratosphere
by Azazel. Azazel just drops me out the sky
by Azazel, which is hilarious.
And for his name to be Man in Black Suit, what was his name?
Man in Black Suit. He didn't even have a name.
Man in Black Suit. Yeah, and it's not even like Men in Black Suit. Like it's not Men in Black Suit. Will Smith's not there. It's Oliver Platt getting dropped by Azazel, and that's content. That is funny because I was thinking, oh, who is this? When he first came up, because I hadn't seen this in a long time. I was like, oh, who's this guy again? Does he come up in the later ones as well?
That's right. I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be like the Striker Mans who does all the Weapon X stuff in a few of the movies. But that was the other guy there, which was kind of funny as well. But I thought he was going to be an absolutely like a significant character because Mans is doing like paranormal, supernatural activities there. Like he's got those two good-looking dudes that go around killing ghouls and whatnot in the piece there doing research.
As in the guys from Supernatural?
Yeah, they're there, man.
Dude, they're there, man. Those two good-looking guys who kill the ghouls, man. They're there.
They're there.
And that's a show. That's a show, and that's a show. But Vincent, I have to agree with you and say that I did like revisiting these two characters. I feel that you put Michael Fassbender in a role, and he's gonna destroy a role. Like he'll just knock it out the park.
The only
he's
thing
a good
that
actor,
I didn't
man.
like was that he's obviously a German or a whatever nationality is a Jewish
Well, it looks like
boy.
he's of
and he's
Jewish
speaking
descent. Yeah.
German. I think I'm not privy to all the languages of the seven corners of the world, but he rocks up and then he's just British.
I mean, Mans has been in and out of Britain. Look, if you look at just search up Michael Fassbender. Man knows a language. He knows a language. He has like 6-7 languages that he knows.
It says here Michael Fassbender knows English as a language. So he knows a language.
That's one.
You ask him if he knows a language, he'll say yes.
So I think that the reason that, Michael Fassbender had to be doing the English language is because you got Sir Ian McKellen's in the later joints.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to have a
and
British
Sir
man.
Ian McKellen's, he not only does he have does he speak English, but he speaks the Queen's English. He's a Shakespearean actor, so of course Michael Fassbender is going to be an English man in this flick.
I know. I
loved Michael Fassbender, not just because we'll get into the relationship between Charles and Professor X, and Magneto after this, but I liked.
Bro,
Michael
this man
Fassbender
a racing driver.
I like Michael Fassbender. I don't care about his racing.
Bro, it says Michael Fassbender is a German-Irish actor and a racing driver.
Can I tell you what was funny?
Dude's done the Le Mans.
He's
finished
done the Le
fourth
Mans.
in Le Mans.
That's one of the longest races you ever know. If you haven't seen Le Mans, that's one of the longest races you ever know.
Like they're out there saying Le Mans is a long race. This is no.
Wait a second. Wait a second, because when you said what you said initially, I thought you said Mans is a racist. But you said Man's a race car driver or racing.
He's a race car driver with Porsche. That's wild.
Well, I mean, when you're that good looking, he looks fit. He looks like he can do a lot of things, and I'm sure the acting days for him, he's done a lot. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to get into the car racing game.
That's wild, man. That's wild.
The scenes that I specifically like with him, one of the big scenes was that very, although it was probably they didn't hold on that scene long enough, but when he goes into that German pub, or that pub it's in Argentina, and he finds the people that were mates with Shaw to kill them, to be like, hey, look, you guys killed my family. You guys killed my friends. You guys took our people and our culture. I'm coming at you, just so you know. That scene is great, and his elements always obviously link me back to what's that movie with Inglourious Bastards. Because Michael Fassbender plays in that as well, and has a lot of, huh? What are you talking about?
I thought you were meaning the other dude, the bad guy in Inglourious Bastards. I can't remember Michael Fassbender in that movie.
Oh, Michael Fassbender's in that movie, and he has a scene in a pub which is quite good, but also it shows off his acting skills, his acting chops, if you will. I mean, Charles Xavier was fine, but I think he didn't get as juicy as a role as Michael Fassbender did. I reckon this story was more heavily pointed towards, let's give Michael Fassbender something to fight for that can then turn him evil, and let's just put Charles Xavier in the mix because he's smart and he'll set things up. But let's not give him much more than that. And I think that Charles Xavier is a bigger character
show.
Than that.
Yeah, I thought the other characters. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I thought the other characters were pretty. Like the other X-Men heads, they were pretty average. I thought. You know. Well,
let's run through them really quickly.
I mean, okay, so
we had
IMDb. There's Raven. I mean, Raven was all right. Nicholas Hoult as Beast.
That's
or
Mystique
Hank.
For those who don't know.
Mystique, yeah. That's right. I mean, he's right. Zoe Kravitz was Angel Salvador, which I mean...
Zoe Kravitz. Zoe
Kravitz. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
She was a nothing
character. Also, I might need to switch on a light in here. Well, can I tell you something about... Let me just switch on a light in here, then I'll tell you something about Zoe Kravitz, all right?
All right.
Let me tell you something about Zoe Kravitz.
Tell me something about Eddie Gathegi. That's a wild name.
So,
Darwin. Yeah,
Zoe Kravitz, right?
Didn't do... Okay, sorry, you keep going.
So, one, they put Zoe Kravitz in this movie, which is fine because we've seen Zoe Kravitz in the Batman 2022's very own, and Vincent and I quite enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, no, she did well in that movie.
But she was given nothing in this movie. So there's a point in which Zoe Kravitz's character, she's on the side of the X-Men, and she's like, hey, let's do X-Men things. Like, oh, fly, I'm an X-Man. And then Azazel and Shaw's crew rock up. And they kill a lot of people. They kill everyone, and they're very intimidating. And she just
from the stratosphere.
Oliver Platt gets dropped by a Cecil, but then she immediately, without any fuss, walks over and goes onto their side.
And it was made to be so emotional, like she was tearing up a bit. It's like this man just said, "Hey, we're not against you. We just want to kill all the humans, essentially." You know, they were playing that video game, Destroy All Humans. You know, that classic on PlayStation 2, and I mean, she just switched sides like that.
Like it was nothing. She just threw her friends just away like they were trash. And
yeah,
I think that if you're gonna have a character like that, just put her on the bad side from the start. Because I don't have any affection or interest towards that character when I see her go. I'm not like, oh no, but you were the one with the wings and you could spit out things. Oh my god, we've lost one.
That was the jankiest thing as well at the end, in the end battle when she was out there. Oh. That did not look good.
It didn't look good, man. And, and I also think that they let Zoe Kravitz down. Now, I want to quickly say something about Zoe Kravitz because I searched her up and I searched into seeing, is she in superhero movies, other superhero movies? And apparently she auditioned for the original Batman, not original Batman, but the Dark Knight Rises, and she was told that she looked too urban to be in the movie.
The hell does that mean?
I mean, that just means racism, is what it means.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
But also, you now have a character who in Catwoman that we see in Batman 2022's very own, who is amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that obviously this is a time away, so she's had time to mature, become a better actor, all those sorts of things. But you've missed out on opportunities of Zoe Kravitz in superhero movies. Or if you're Vincent and you're built like that, it's Zoe Kravitz. Out of all the superheroes that they had, all the X-Men that they had, the only one that I liked and I thought was actually intriguing was Darwin. But man's died in about 5 minutes.
Immediately.
He would have been a cool one to keep because there's so many cool things that you could do with the effect of I will adapt to danger and survive something.
That's right. It's better than the man that can yell at different frequencies.
Yeah. I mean, look, that actor is cool. He's fine. He was in Get Out. He was in a bunch of other movies. But
doesn't matter to me.
I mean, doesn't matter to you.
I think this movie suffered from two... I think, for me, it's similar to another movie that I've watched. I can't remember. We covered it, and I can't remember which one it was. That there was just a lot of heads, and they didn't really go through them, and they didn't really give the audience, aka we, enough to want to see them. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Like there was not.
No, of course.
You could see that they kind of just rushed a lot of it. For example, the relationship between Beast or Hank and I don't know the man's name, but the dude that shoots rings around and he just destroys everything. From
Alex
the get-go,
Summers.
whatever his name is. From the get-go, man's was like, haha, you got big feet.
Yeah.
And they were just like he was teasing him right from the get-go, and it just felt so forced. And I feel like a lot of the movie was a bit, I don't know, a bit rushed, and a bit too kind of, oh, we've just done this to then create something for the future. You know, like he's just teasing him, so then he injects himself with this serum that he created and turns into an animal with interesting lips.
Yeah, it turns into the beast that everyone knows and loves. I agree with you, Vincent. I agree that in saying that the only really good thing about this movie is the fact that they got Charles Xavier and they got Magneto to be played by their respective actors that play them.
Yeah.
Because they come in later, obviously, in the later films, they make a really good... They play it really well, and they do really well in those next films that we may or may not talk about. Every other character in this didn't necessarily need to be here. And the reason why they didn't need to be here is exactly what Vincent said. You're creating the X-Men, right? Now, the X-Men that we know and love are the ones that have already been created in the last trilogy that they did. So you bring in all these new people and you give them about 2 minutes of screen time. We're not going to love them. And even then, you notice that in the next movie, guess who they focus on? In Days of Future Past, Wolverine's back, one, so he's back in the mix. But two, you focus on people like, you focus on Charles, you focus on Fassbender.
You got Mystique
and then you got Beast. And then you got the Speedster as well. Like that's the only people that they care about because this movie did such a poor role in presenting cool characters to the forefront.
No one cared about these characters. And I also think the relationship between Charles Xavier and Raven or Mystique was a bit forced as well. I mean see, I don't think it was, excuse me. I don't think this is an issue of, we didn't have enough time with them or we didn't have enough time. That's the biggest yawn I've ever seen. We didn't have enough time to develop the relationship. I think it's just the quality and the almost believability of the situations that the relationship goes through and how it progresses. For example, the one with, Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy, obviously it started off as, Professor X saying, hey, you're one of us. Oh, that's cool. We're in this together. It's me and you versus the world. And then obviously they get further apart because Mystique's blue and Charles Xavier is a white man. And then it was obvious to kind of, there were bits and pieces that they put in there for Raven to then go more to Magneto's side. And I feel like for something that happened across the course of the whole movie, that was pretty much scene one and the final scene. It just felt it just didn't feel realistic or believable. And I know I've just said
Well,
the same thing.
I think-
realistic is believable or whatever. But yeah, I think that I'm just rambling. You talk.
No, that's adjectives, man. I don't think it's adjectives, but like someone needs to do me just a quick run through of like adjective, noun, pronouns, all those sorts of things. I always forget what they mean. But Vincent, you're correct in saying that there's no relationship between them. Well, at least this movie doesn't build one. There's meant to be one there, but then the relationship is affected by this one scene where Raven comes down and starts talking to Professor X, and he's like, "Oh, don't you want to change from being blue? Don't you want those cosmetic changes?" And it's just like, hold on a second. Xavier wouldn't be saying this, and I know that he's a younger version of himself, and he's probably sloppy and he's drunk or whatever. He's smoking that wacky tobacco because it's back in the days where wacky tobacco was around. Wacky tobacco's gone now; it's defunct. But there's no way that this person who's this clever to be able to read, or is able to read people's minds, would straight up say to someone, "Hey, don't you want those cosmetic changes?"
Well, I mean, he
Why
wasn't.
don't you get
he wasn't
those
reading
cosmetic changes?
her mind because she asked her very nicely not to. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's not.
You know, he was
understand.
reading it.
Yeah.
He was reading it though.
I mean, it was interesting also because he was going to all the other people and be like, it's in here. Like you have to control it. Magneto, you have to find the balance between anger and serenity. And it's like, but don't you want to be not blue all the time?
Yeah, that's right.
So I think in that sense, it was
he needs to find half blue, half. So the other thing is as well, what this movie did wrong, I feel, was the fact that it wanted to get everything to where it was at the start of the first X-Men movie. That's where it wanted to get things to. And the reason that I say this is because it developed the relationship between Charles and Magneto, and then it immediately, and when I say immediately, by the end of the movie, stopped that, and then made them, I just threw something, but just made them not become mates anymore. And it did the same thing with Mystique, because that's what we saw in the first X-Men movie. Mystique and Magneto were mates. But that's not necessarily how this story could have gone. This story could have been that they could have finished off as being mates, but there was some tension within their friendship that you could see developing into something more. But that's just what it is, and that's what they did with this movie. But I think that it sparked some bigger and better things. One thing I want to, because I know we haven't got too much time left. One thing I want to quickly talk about. Have we only got 5 minutes left?
We only got 5 minutes left. Like Zoom is on that,
dude. Zoom is just like 40 minutes.
Such a weird amount of time.
What I want to quickly just jump on is the fact that superhero movies, and I don't know if it's just it's getting better now, but back in the era in which there was a lot of superhero movies, I mean there's a lot now, but ones that we grew up with, we were very spoiled for choice for superhero movies when we were growing up. There was a lot going on, but one thing that the X-Men did really poorly was costumes and outfits, and actually using the traditional and cool looking X-Men outfits. They attempted it in this movie where they made those jet suits. But they're not cool X-Men outfits. And I know that they weren't considered the X-Men at that point, but you can still give them some cool costume designs that are similar to their costume designs in the comics or previous movies. Right now, it's just the dudes in yellow jumpsuits, and it doesn't look very cool. And that continues, and I don't think that they do get good X-Men suits until... I don't really reckon they've been done well, except for in Deadpool when they're wearing them.
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, they got that cool yellow suit.
Yeah.
But it shows that they're, I know that they wouldn't have the X-Men logos and all that on them, but still, like, I mean, even when I watched X-Men Last Stand, the suits in that, again, very similar. It's just like, let's just give these people leather. Just put black leather on them.
Yeah,
there's nothing
the original
distinguishable.
X-Men are all just black leather, weren't they?
Yeah. There's nothing that makes it unique or makes it cool, because people see that and they're like, "Oh, this is tacky. This is from a comic book. This is what it is." But it is what it is. It is a comic book. You should give these people an opportunity to see these cool suits in live action, because that's what we want to see. But that is why I really liked seeing Magneto's suit at the end of this movie.
Yeah, he's got the little horns.
He's got little horns, but also the color is all there. And I was watching this with my partner, and she was like, "What the hell is that?" And I was like, "That's his suit." And she was like, "Nah, I don't like the look of it." And I was like, "So maybe my whole point is wrong. Maybe this whole point of put the superhero suits in there is wrong because the general public maybe doesn't like seeing that."
Just put them up in black leather.
Just motorbike helmets and black leather.
That's right. The final thing I'm going to say is I liked this movie much less this time than when I originally... Yes. I remember watching it the first time and being like, this is a real X-Men movie. They've really done this well. And this time, I mean, even the end, you know, the lady's shooting Magneto and he flicks a bullet into Charles's spine and it's like, oh, I got motion at my front door. And it's like, oh, you did this. Like...
I mean, that is what he says. He does
That's what
say
he did. This. That's what he said. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a shame because we laughing.
That's the best. That's the best point I ever heard. You know, It's like the end when he gets shot in the back, and then he's like, "You did this. You did this." It's just what it is. Like that's what it is.
I mean, that just sums up the whole movie.
Yeah, I know. What you're saying is that they're doing things, but there's no real backing or backbone to what they're doing. And I mean, this man's backbone got shattered, but there's no real backbone to what they're doing in this. And I think that's a good synopsis of this. That there's this is X-Men without a backbone. They seemed like
they had a whole bunch of boxes they had to tick. It was like, okay, Charles gets his legs. You know, he can't use his legs anymore. Mystique goes to Magneto's side. All these boxes, and they just had to tick him, and they done messed up.
And this is the reality. This is what I think we can end this on, Vincent. This is the fact that I'm going to give.
Hurry
this
up, because we've got less than a minute left.
I'm giving it a 5.4 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.2. And you can find links in the description for all the places you can find us. Talk soon.
Yes.
Apple. I mean, I guess I'll see you at some point. You know, because this is it. This Zoom meeting is it. All right. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Oh my God. Talk soon. Please.
Oh my God.
Were you recording?